All right, guys. So what is better? Is it starting a whole new diet or making slow, steady changes? Now, I'm going to talk about this, and this is something that is truly in the core of my heart because it's super important to understand that when it comes to making changes in your life and reaching your fitness goals, sometimes we are crashing and burning because we're just hitting these ceilings that we just can't get past, and it's frustrating, right? Plus, the fitness industry is doing a lot of things to like really make it hard to figure out who's telling you the right thing. Like sometimes I hear people even do diets because they like a person. They're like, oh, I saw what they did and it was great for them. But I'm like, that doesn't mean that's for you. And the second thing is like, you know, the reasons why most people struggle when it comes to new diets or their fitness journey is because there's a knowledge gap and there's just things you just don't know, and because of the bad habits we may have. So I'm going to get into this because I think, and I'm going to hopefully by this provoke you to make some changes today that are going to allow you to be able to elevate your fitness journey and to help you see more results and less plateaus, right? So with that being said, when it comes down to it, getting these new diets, I think the interesting thing is like there's so many diets out there, and you know, there's no one best diet, right? And I'm a type of person where I believe that people shouldn't do diets unless they know how to eat properly. And I say that because like deep in my heart, I've watched people struggle, and I've watched people who have had some deeply rooted habits from, you know, just from either their culture, how they were brought up, but they're just so strong that it's just like to go do a specific diet. We in our mind, what we're thinking about is like we're looking at the external thing. We're like, if I can do keto, if I can do intermittent fasting, I can get that belly to go away. If I can do that, it'll help me have more control, and maybe by having more control of my food and eating less, then I'm actually going to be able to lose the belly fat, or I'm going to be able to, you know, to drop the weight. The thing that concerns me about that is that you're picking the thing based on an external thing, right? And we all do that. We look in the mirror, you look at yourself, you take a picture, and you're like, I don't like the way I look. And sometimes you'd be like, I don't like the way I feel. And that's probably more important, right? How you feel. But the most important thing is like understanding like it's never the outside thing. And it's hard to say this, and it's hard for people to accept this, but the bottom line is like the reason why you're struggling with in your fitness journey has a lot to do about what you do every day. It's not the diet. In some cases it may be because you're picking a diet for all the wrong reasons. And, you know, I've heard people tell me, oh, you know, my girl, you know, did this and, you know, she did keto or she did low carb or whatever the case was, and you're doing it, right? Your friend is a different person and they may have a different set of goals. And if they accomplish their goal by doing it, that's great. But that's not the end of the story. Like just because somebody accomplished something by doing a diet does not mean that that's the way you should go. Because the goal is tell me what that person is doing 6 months to a year or 2 years later after they've lost that weight. Did they gain it back? Are they struggling? And those are the things I'm talking about. That's why I'm sitting here saying like, this is why when we ask the question, like, do I do a new diet or do I start slow and steady? I'm like, start slow and steady, but know what you're doing and know why you're doing it, and understand this. Like the fitness world is about getting you the meal plans, right? And getting you to do whatever crazy diet it is. Like I had a client come to me and said that it's ridiculous. They were being told that they need to have tuna with barbecue sauce in one of their meals. And I was like, I actually like tuna and I actually like barbecue sauce, but I don't like them together. So I don't know how that was supposed to work, but the bottom line is like, what is that? Why is that? And it's like the craziest things are happening when it comes to diets that are leading people to places where they're just, you know, you're lost. And when you go do a diet, and we can talk about some of the most common things right now is like keto, right? Have you thought about this when you go into the grocery store and you see all this like keto driven products? Now, if you see stuff that's like keto this, keto that, well, first of all, it is a processed food, right? So if it's sitting in a package and it's in the aisle section, that's what it is, right? Keto wasn't intended to be in a package, right? And actually keto wasn't even intended for weight loss. It was intended for people to minimize seizures. So at the end of the day, like another reason, like think about why you're doing this. Now, I'm not harping on people who do keto, and I'm not over here being, you know, like I'm not an advocate for it, but I'm more an advocate for people who are making smart decisions and learning how to eat properly. Now, the thing is like, you're like, well, like, I just want to lose the weight. Well, then what happens if you lose the weight? It keeps coming back. And if that's happened to you, it's like, what do you really think this is? Is this because you did a diet, or just because you changed some real deeply rooted habits because you actually developed a new lifestyle? You focused on the habits you had to build instead of focused on the diet. This is where I'm getting at. And this is something you'll hear me say all the time, because this is the core of where I think makes a bunch of changes, is that when you're talking to a coach or you're asking for help from the friend at the gym, or, you know, the girl that's in your fitness class or Zumba, whatever you're doing, or my guys who used to be athletes, you know, you're talking to your boy who you used to play with, and you guys are all struggling with gaining weight. You know, the biggest thing is like, you know, most guys aren't going to be jumping from diet to diet. They're not going to do that. You're just not going to eat. right? We're busy hustling out there, working, doing our thing. We're people that get really focused on things. And so we forget about ourselves and realize that we're not training anymore from 3 to 4 hours anymore. And you get fat and you get overweight. That happened to me, right? And it's easy to happen. But when it comes down to it, like most women or some women, you're looking at, I can do the, Atkins diet. I can do, keto. I can do low carb. I can do, so you're doing intermittent fasting. You're doing all this stuff. And the reality is like, take a step back a second and really think about the fact are you just jumping into something and you're doing it? Maybe you're doing all the work by, reading up on all these diets, but you need to pay attention to you and you have to change the habits. Now, let me just say this because, this is one of those that I'll probably get some people in my comments being like, oh man, you're being too hard, or maybe you're overlooking. And I'm going to just be fair. Okay. And be direct. The bottom line is the reason why I say this is because any diet that you want to go on is going to work. Every diet is the same. Every single diet is the same. And they're the same because if you take intermittent fasting, right? Most of the time you're eating a smaller window, so you're probably missing a meal, right? Within that time. So instead of eating 3 meals, you're eating 2. Some people eat 1, which is crazy, okay? Then on top of that, if you're doing like keto, well, keto, what you're doing is removing a complete macronutrient, so you don't eat carbs, right? So it's high fat, high protein. Well, at the end of the day, that's the key to it. And then with like portion control, right? What you're doing is making sure that your food is portioned out properly on a plate. The reason why these things are all the same is because they're just a reduction of calories. That's it. But the reality is that your body does need all the macros like proteins, carbs, and fats. But the bottom line is you're just reducing calories. And so when we start talking about diets, I'm like, look, let's get the foundation right? You want to build a healthy lifestyle. You want to build a healthy body. You want to be healthy. You want to have the energy to sustain the things you want to do. You want to feel motivated every day. We need to build a better foundation. I'm sure any of you that own a home or want to buy a home, you're not going to go buy a house with a horrible foundation. Well, that's what it is when you don't build that and when you don't really look at the habits that you have that are holding you back. So the most important thing right now, when you answer this question, which one is better to start a new diet? It's like, let's start slow and steady. And let's start with things that are not going to be, that you can do now, right? That are easy. Because habits, the reason why habits are important is because they become easy. Like there are things in your life that you do on a daily basis that you don't even like put much effort or thought into it because it's so easy for you to do it and you're so used to doing it. That's the power of habits. But to make purposeful habits, to make change, you really literally have to sit down and be aware of the roadblocks and challenges you have and the healthy habits that you need to create. How do you create healthy habits? It's not just, taking everything and be like, look, I'm done eating all this bad food and I'm going straight to eating good food. And some people can do that, but most people are going to make that change. And guess what? The ugly head of those old habits are just chilling there waiting for you. Like, okay. You think you're doing better. Wait, I'm gonna come back, right? What happens? You're like, I'm gonna pack my food. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna do all these things, right? And then one day happens where you get up late or you had some crazy thing go on and you couldn't prep your food. And then you got to get to work and then you're at work and you don't have any food and you're like, damn, what am I going to do? Well, there's 2 options. Either don't eat, which is horrible, right? Because you're going to be starving, or eat whatever you can because that's there. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to be like, oh yeah, there's this place. Well, guess what? You might go to the place you like and just go eat and be like, oh, it's okay. It's 1 meal. Well, that's the whole point, is that when you start to do things like it's very hard to sustain something when you try to just go all out because you're also doing stuff that you're not even used to doing. The biggest thing I would tell you right now when it comes to whether or not it's a diet or if it's slow and steady, is start slow and steady. For a lot of my clients, they jump in my program, they're like wanting everything all at once. Well, I've done that before. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like people get lost because it's too many things and you're trying to make too many changes at one time. And when you do slow, steady, right? What you're doing is you're doing things that you can do and you can commit to doing them consistently. And what that does is it slowly builds momentum. And I will tell you this, the biggest thing I do is, I work on this metabolic recalibration. And what I'm doing really is helping you increase your metabolism or increase your body's ability to unlock food storage, which is the fat, right? And what I'm also doing is, the bigger thing I'm doing is innately building better habits, right? I'm teaching you how to eat. I'm mapping out the food categories of what you should be eating so that you're eating different categories throughout the day to make sure that you can get to your goal. While you're doing this, you are building very strong habits that are going to support your goals long term. That is not a diet. And if I want to use the word diet, I use it in a positive, constructive way. Diet means, it's an acronym. Did I eat today? And that's my biggest thing. are you eating? So when we start talking about small and steady, some of my clients and most people come to me, they're not eating enough. And the bottom line is that that's the first thing I want to do is got to get you to eat the food that you're supposed to eat. Once we build a habit of you eating, then we can start talking about macros and we can start talking about all these other things. And we can start talking about how we can use nutritional strategies in order to help you maintain your goal. But really looking at diets, unless you are a skillful person, diets are really a skill that you build. But the bottom line is, in order for you to be able to do that efficiently and be able to sustain it, diets are meant to be temporary. So you're using a temporary thing to fix a long-term problem, a long-term challenge. And so what's going to help you the most? Habits are dire. Habits are the most important thing. Habits are built slowly. And when we talk build slowly, they build up so much damn momentum. You'll be killing the game just because you built the habit, it's ingrained, and it becomes a part of who you are and a part of how you live. And that's what starts to change, because the reasons why you are exactly where you are today is because of what you do every single day. Change that, you change the game. You want to be healthier, build better habits. Start it slow and steady. Now, if you've already learned all those proper skills and you can eat healthy and you have those habits, now we can talk about taking on a diet. But it's based on the goal, right? It's being specific and having clarity. It's not just doing any old diet. Why would you do carb cycling, right? Why would you do that? Well, it depends on your goal and it depends on what you're doing. And if you understand carb cycling, you want to make sure you have higher carbs on high training days and low carb day on low carb days, low activity days. But what's important for that, right? At the end of the day, if you aren't eating enough at all, then doing all these different things and trying to reduce calories or reduce carbs and stuff like that, you're just putting yourself in a position where you're just continue stringing along the pain and the agony. Now, have people lost weight doing diets? Yes, they have. And I told you guys this from the beginning, they have. But the way that you want to lose weight and you want to be healthier and lose fat is focus on doing it slow and steady. Focus on doing it the right way. I say this, and like if you wanted to hear me tell you like this is the best diet to get on and this is the fastest way to do it, the best thing I can tell you right now is that you just need to eat. And you need to pick food from whole foods that are healthy for you. And by doing that, you're going to change how you feel, number one. Number two, get rid of all that processed food, snacks, and all that crap that's maybe in your pantry or that are quick to eat that taste amazing, but they're not good for you. Get rid of those things, okay? Don't just throw them away. If you can, please like donate them or something like that. But the bottom line is purge those things out of your life. Do that. That's a small thing. Get rid of that, okay? Because they say, there's a saying that says, if you put food in an environment, you eventually eat it. Just make sure the food that you have around you is healthy. That's something you can do slow and steady. And so as you start to look at how you can change your health and improve your body composition, all that kind of stuff, start there. Start with, drinking more water. Start with eating more protein, right? On a daily basis, making sure you actually eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and have a snack in between. Healthy snack. Just make sure you're having those meals on a daily basis. Then you can start talking about like how many calories you have and what your macros are, because that stuff is going to lead you, just by building the habits, going to lead you to success anyway. And then again, like I said, we can talk about a diet, but you won't need it because you'll be feeling so good. You're gonna be like, man, I can do this. And that's what happens. You feel confident again and you know what to do. You don't got to keep listening to all this crazy stuff. And when someone starts telling you, hey man, you got to, do this intermittent fasting, this thing works. You're like, man, I reached my goals because I ate and because I was doing the right things that are going to serve my body. So what I will tell you this is that, there's a lot of stuff out there. And my goal right now as a online fitness coach is to guide you and give you the direct answers. And I think the big thing I got to take away from here is that the direct answer is some people like going all out on a diet and stuff like that. But typically most people fail because you get burned out and you're not learning anything in the process. And life is kind of hard. And if you realize it, is that literally the way you live your life is probably the reason why you're either struggling or you're having success in your fitness journey. So that's the biggest thing you have to focus on. And steady changes and slow changes allow you to adapt those things, because you're going to hit some bumps in the road. You're going to have some challenges, and not having this anxiety on trying to reach this thing really fast, or just feeling like crap because you're limiting food and you're being really restrictive. You're really going to have a harder time doing it. So with that being said, this is my goal. I want to help you reach your goals. I want to help provoke you to do and make healthier changes. Most importantly though, I want to provoke you to be in control of your life and stop letting your life and stop letting all this stuff distract you. My goal is to give you the direct answer, and I hope I did that today. So if I have, please subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to continue giving as much value as I can to make sure that you guys are getting the things you need so you can start making those changes. But I also want to encourage you. I want to provoke you. I really want you to feel like you can do this, because it's possible. You don't have to do all these hard things. And I will tell you, like, the reason for having a coach is that what I do is I clear the path and make a narrow path for you, get you a strategy and a plan, right? That's the big thing, is like the strategy, and then the accountability of allowing to guide you through it to make sure that you avoid plateaus and you're not doing all these crazy diets. Anyway, if you're in a position right now where you're just like, hey, I need some help, you want to be guided, you need to be coached, or you just want to just have a conversation with me about, what your current challenges are, so I can help you get clarity on that. Because again, if you don't know what your challenges are and your problems are, all you have to do is just type in, I'm ready, let's go, whatever you want to do, and I will follow with you to make sure we get on a call together. So with that being said, if you, again, subscribe to this channel, and thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you so far for, watching through this video. I appreciate the time you've taken to do this. And I hope that we're building this relationship that's going to allow you to have a place to come to where you can trust the advice that I'm giving you and give you some guidance so that you can get to your goals. But otherwise, have a great day, guys. Go out and be a boss, and I will see you next time. Peace.